What is going on, guys? Fighting Game Select is here. We are back again to talk about some more Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And I'm here today with Justin Wong himself. Justin, what is good?
What's good? Thanks for having me. You guys already know I love being part of the Fighting Game Select stuff. So, what kind of topic you have for me today?
We had a lot of talk about the Wazzler, but now we kind of bounce back a little bit. We got to take away the mask off. We got to pull out the mask. And who's behind the mask? It's Justin Wong himself. 3 ways to really get good or just improve in Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
A lot of people have been asking me how to get better at Marvel 2 and everything like that. So, I guess this doesn't count as a tip, but I will say this is more of just a suggestion. The first thing is that
we throwing it out with the frisbee. The frisbee.
It's a freebie. This is a freebie. Okay. There is a tier list in terms of controller usage. So I would say joystick is easily on top, number 1.
That's crazy, by the way. That's crazy.
Yeah, easily number 1. It's old retro games. Old retro games, you always want to be on joystick just because there's no easy inputs. So leverless is actually, for me, number 3, and then pad is number 2. So that's the one thing. So if you guys are a player that's leverless or a pad player and you really want to get into Marvel 2, really think about investing in a joystick, just because it really will make your life so much easier, especially if you're fighting against top tiers. When you're going to fight against top tiers, because eventually you're going to run into top tiers, and you're fighting against Magneto, I'm going to just tell you straight up, you're not mashing out of Magneto Tempest on a pad. So that's the problem. Mashing in this game is such a strong thing, and joystick has the best way of mashing because you guys go crazy on it. You see that kid that played Daigo on the joystick where he was just going bananas? He would mash out a Magnetic Tempest before you would if you're playing on pad or leverless.
I'm kind of happy you do that because as a joystick enjoyer, I am happy to hear that we are top tier in one of these games. Even though it has to be a retro game, so be it. We got to take our little jabs and points when we can because we've been low tier since 2020.
Definitely,
right?
That's facts.
I think a lot of people have been watching you play, and they could be like, "Yo, if I can learn this, I want to learn how to learn this too."
Yeah. Okay. I mean, the first tip I would give you is that when you're making a team, and it could be just a top tier or a mid tier team or low tier team, you have to make sure that you have some type of character that you're putting on the team that has an anti-air assist. That is a huge thing because anti-air assists in this game, they keep their invincible properties of how anti-airs works. So if a dragon punch smacks you away because you jumped in and tried to do something, yes, it works the same way as it would as an assist. It has invincibility, strike invincibility properties. So you always want to have your anti-air assist on your team. So I would say that's the number 1 thing that you would want to do when you're forming a team. So if you're trying to make a team where it's let's say it's Felicia, Silver Samurai, Sakura. That team is ass because it has no assist. The team probably has some cool combos and cool synergies, but I would say that's more related to Marvel 3 because I think Marvel 3, they pretty much took out the property of how anti-air assist works in that game. So Marvel 2, however, is literally the epitome. If you don't have an anti-air assist and you pick that team or something related to that team, the other person could just hold up back and just mash their anti-air assist, and then you just can't do a damn thing about it. Every time you...
That sounds so miserable,
bro. It does. It sounds miserable because you're going to need an anti-air assist to counter their anti-air assist, stuff like that, or their offense. So that's really your best defensive mechanic. It's not push block or anything. Your best defensive mechanic is your anti-air assist. So that's why you see when you're watching the assist spam goes crazy when you're watching matches when it's Psylocke, Commando, Cyclops, that's the third. So I would say that's the main recommendation I would give you as the first tip is when you're designing a team, make sure to have an anti-air backing you up.
Bro, that sounds so miserable to deal with. If people would just up back all the time, dog, nah, I'm good, dude.
Yeah, it's tough to stop up back. Just especially if you're fighting against a cable. Just because you can guard break, but not every character is good at guard breaking, Correct. Stuff like that. And for some reason, I mentioned before we recorded that like Marvel 2 has like random niches for characters, and they don't share the same mechanics. So Cable has takes more blocks done, so that means you can't tick throw him. So if you're trying to throw him, you can't, and that's why he could just like up back and block and spam his anti-air, because he's not afraid to just block and call his anti-air assist. I would say my number 2 tip is movement. Movement, I would say, is so expressive in Marvel's Capcom, and it's not like I would say stale. I love the fact that it's not stale. Like, the only thing stale about movement in Marvel 2 is probably ground wave dash, because it's done the same way, but the wave dash obviously is different based off their actual dash speed, right? Their dash speed, their dash momentum. Some characters can't even wave dash in general, so you have to move in a different way. Like Hulk can't forward wave dash, but he can back wave dash, right? Because Hulk hops, but Hulk has a hyper hop, so he can do a regular jump, and he could do like a kind of like a hyper jump, which is different from a super jump. It's more of like a dash jump, right? And that gives him the momentum to carry. So knowing how to move your characters around the game in like the more optimal way, because obviously with when you look at Marvel 3, right, and you see Magneto and they go fly, they just do blink air dash, boom 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 boom, right? So obviously Magneto in this game is very, very different. He only has access to one dash, and fly is actually terrible in this game unless you're Sentinel. So he can't do what he can do in Marvel 3. But in Marvel 2, he uses dash to build meter, right? To build meter, because he could super jump fierce, air dash down back fierce, and he'll have the landing recovery, and then do it again, do it again, do it again. So movement in this game is so strong, and if you can move very, very well, and then you become kind of like a pesky fly. Because Marvel games, this could be the same for like anime games, everything like that. Blocking is terrible in these type of games, because if you're blocking, that means you're gonna be there to take and you're not trying to take mix-ups or strings or anything like that, right? That's just one of those things that you just need to avoid. So if you have your movement and you can evade, I always try to like super jump as much as possible. And depending on the character, a lot of characters have like kind of like an air move or air mobility to kind of just like, not have this typical boring jump, or even just stalling in the air by doing an air special move, right? Stuff like that is like super important to kind of like take in consideration. Think of when you're playing Marvel 2 as kind of you're really enacting how Dragon Ball is, where they're just flying and trying to like meet up everywhere, right? It's so expressive. Like, when I mean it's really expressive, it's like the coolest thing for me, at least one of the coolest things in the world. So I definitely recommend just becoming a movement monster if you can when you're playing Marvel 2.
That's amazing, dude. And it's crazy to hear that like certain characters that fly is not really good in the game, but in like good in other games. I always thought like, flying is always really good, but just hearing that, it makes it even more interesting of like how character strength kind of reflects itself too. I think that's really dope, and I'm always a big fan of like cool movement. Just hearing that Hulk can like wave dash back, it's like really cool as well.
Yeah, that's another reason why I said earlier joystick is better, because you're able to kind of like, move the joystick a lot faster. Because people say leverless is so good for movement, but it's really only proven to be really good in Street Fighter with going left right. But in like a Marvel game, you have to go up back, down back, like up forward, like all these different like diagonal motions. That's like, I would say, more annoying on the leverless controller, in my personal opinion. That's where I would say joystick is just better at. You have more freedom to move and not be restricted and just kind of like mess up your movement. I was trying leverless and I'm like, man, pressing down back to down up is like so hard, because like a lot of times you do down back, you push block, and then you want to super jump right to down up. So doing that on leverless is like so much more commanding compared to like joystick, because I'm just like, I just literally move the joystick from down back to up.
So now, what's the third? What's the third advice that you could give for the people, man?
I mean, it's a Marvel game. You gotta know your combos. Knowing your combos on the characters, knowing what combos in the supers, what combos into your other characters DHC as well too. So like a lot of times, like I feel like a lot of people will just like do their air combo and then that's it. And the air combos, I mean, air combos are cool for sure, but is that really your best damaging situation? You know, I would say, for example, a lot of people when you're playing, let's say Ken combo, you know, you do like short launch into jab short into DP or knockdown, right? Because that's what the computer does. So you're like, okay, that's the combo that you do. But in reality, your best combo for Ken is to short launch and then you jump jab into heavy kick Tatsu, right? And then that's it. And if you look at that combo difference, that combo does like 60% versus you doing jab short fierce, and then that does like 15%. Right. So just knowing your character combos, what tricks, because like, for example, like Ken's Tatsu is like glitched. It just does chunks of damage. There's no scaling.
The air one, right?
Yeah, it just has no scaling like whatsoever, right? And like, but then if you do that with Ryu, that same combo, the first hit of the Tatsu spikes you down, so you don't get that juggle Tatsu. Right, so like knowing what your characters can do in terms of combos and what's their best way to combo is like super important. And I feel like a lot of people just kind of like missed the opportunity. Like, so if you're like, let's say you want to play top 10, you're playing Cable. Probably the easiest combo to understand is like, okay, if you land crouching short, you do standing heavy punch right into the bullet into Viper Beam, into Hyper Viper Beam. Yeah, that's a cool combo. Does like 50% and everything like that. But problem with that combo is that if you're fighting against another Cable, the Cable player can punish that combo on hit.
Oh.
Yeah, so because the Hyper Viper Beam is like literally like a 2-frame startup on the air one. So they can literally do that while your recovery after you hit the ground Hyper Viper is like so negative. It's like so negative. You could go for a walk and come back and punish it, right? Type of thing.
Right.
So your best combo is learning how to Tiger Knee your specials. So that's where Tiger Kneeing your specials is another amazing thing you need to learn in this game, because TK moves is kind of something I would say that doesn't really exist too much anymore. But in Marvel 2, TK moves, pretty much I would say Marvel 2 is kind of what made TK moves, like Tiger Knee moves, super famous, right? So Cable has.
I 100%. I can 100% agree.
Yeah.
With that,
So Cable, your combos where you're supposed to do crouching short, standing heavy kick, and then you do Tiger Knee into the Hyper Viper Beam, right? So you're super jump canceling your normal into an air special, right? And then doing this combo obviously keeps you safe from getting punished by Cable, but it also gives you another opportunity to loop another air Hyper Viper Beam. But I would say if you learn how to TK moves in general, it's actually how you play neutral in this game too, right? Doing like a TK, like Hadouken, like air fireball Ryu is better than doing a ground fireball. Because if you do a ground fireball, you actually have more recovery compared to you doing the air one. But if you just do jump air fireball, you can't block on the way down, right? Because you only have one action in the air. So if you do your one normal jump action, then you cannot guard on the way down. But if you do a TK version, because when you do the TK, when you're doing from down to up forward, you're actually putting the super jump motion while you're doing the TK move, right? And when you're doing when you super jump, and after you finish your fireball, you could block on the way down, because super jump gives you infinite, like pretty much actions, and you can block in the end.
I have a question. When was this solved?
In
the
first year.
Years
no,
ago.
The first year of Marvel 2. Like probably
That's
insane. Probably like 6 to 8 months when people figured out that TK Hyper Viper Beam was a thing. So once people figured out TK Hyper Viper Beam, then everyone started experimenting like other characters, like doing Tiger Knee moves and everything like that. And people figure out like, okay, it's obviously not as good as Cable, but it's useful for every other character in the game as well too.
Like that's why that game is so execution like precise.
Yeah. It's because of that. Because like you have because like you need to TK to do combos, but doing TK's Tiger Knee moves in general in neutral is so good. Because even just doing Tiger Knee Viper Beam or Tiger Knee Grenade, like you could block on the way. The fact that you could block on the way down versus if you just do normal jump and you can't block, it makes a huge difference, right? Just because like people could snipe that out, right? So the fact that if you TK it, you're leaving no room where you can get punished for doing something like that.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah. Like Marvel 2 has a lot of like random mechanics that just was never in the handbook, the tutorial. It's just like literally this is what I would say the community figured out and like, have all these tricks in the back. Because like now you have like, like every fighting game has like their tutorials or whatever, but there's no like thing where people like, oh yeah, like I invented like this crazy strategy that people can use. Like there's I would say there's fun. There's like what Perfect Parry, Drive Reversal OS or something like that, right? Or Perfect Parry, Drive Rush. But like I don't know, it just doesn't seem as impactful. Which kind of like would say change the whole meta, because you don't even need to use that to like win a tournament still. Like it's nice to have. Like, if you're playing Cable, you can't just win the tournament without using Tiger Knee Hyper Viper Beam. Like you have to.
Right. So it really shows like the I would say the nature of like what pools look like for people who play and what top 8 looks like.
Yeah, exactly. So
man, that is actually cool, bro. I feel like I can literally ask all the Marvel questions, man. But look, I know you are a busy man, and I appreciate you coming through and dropping some of the most dopest knowledge for this game. That was really, really interesting. Learned a lot about it as well.
Yeah.
Hey, but where can they find you, bro?
They can find me. Just type my name, Justin Wong, on YouTube. Follow me on the socials, JWong with 3 Gs. You guys already know it's pretty easy to find me. That's it, really.
Hey, and with that being said, man, let me know in the comment section below. Did you learn a lot about Marvel 2? Let me know in the comment section below how do you guys feel about this video. And we'll be signing off. Thank you guys so much for watching Fighting Game Select. We'll see you guys in the next episode.